lightning everywhere. And welcome to a new video. In this video, I'll be showcasing the mid-range Druid build. Of course, we're using our Lightning Storm as our main type of damage, so the mid-range Lightning Storm build. It is an upgrade from the early game. If you haven't seen that video, do watch that. It's more of a leveling kind of guide to level 50. And with this guide, you'll get into World Tier 4 at level 62. It's insane how much damage this build does. I clear packs of enemies like butter. It is very good, and I'm going to showcase you some of the elements of the build. I did get very lucky, and I actually got the new uniques for my gloves, but you don't need this for the build to work out. It is, I would say, one of the important things in this build is this aspect. Let's just get right into the build. I'll just showcase everything. I'm going to start off with this aspect. If you can get this, it is a drop-only aspect, but if you can't get it, it is very good. And it will completely change the way your build plays. And it will just increase your damage by so much more. So, what this aspect does is that your storm skills, which mainly your Lightning Storm, will now also trigger your Earth and Might passive. And your Earth and Might key passive gives you a 5% base chance just to restore all your spirit, which is great for spirit regeneration. But not only that, it actually has all of your attacks to be guaranteed crit for the next 5 seconds. I want you to remember that. Guaranteed crit for the next 5 seconds. And this can also, instead of just 5%, be 25% if you crit on an immobilized enemy, which you do a lot with this build. Especially with your Poison Creeper, you'll immobilize all the enemies, which means that it will definitely be 15%. And then if you crit on it, it's 25%, which is quite a lot, and it can happen quite often in the big mob. Of course, it's lucky hit, but your Lightning Storm actually has a pretty decent lucky hit chance for how many times it hits. So that's definitely, if you can have that, it's one of the things I would say it's a best in slot for your ring to get this. It's very good. And also, your Earth Spike will also be able to trigger it because it's an Earth skill. It always has, just so if you're generating spirit, you have a small chance for getting all your spirit back just instantly, and then all of your crits for your Lightning Storm, which you're obviously going to do, is all going to be crits, which really goes well with Lightning Dancer, which every crit will spawn 3 lightning bolts, which will deal damage all around. And this is piercing lightning bolts. The dancing bolts are piercing bolts that just hit every enemy around them. And the thing is, if you have a pack of monsters, which you will see in the videos later on, let's say there are like 10 monsters just clumped up together, your Lightning Storm will not only crit every one of them with your 100% crit, all of them will spawn additional lightning bolts hitting each other with the dancing bolts, which will just instantly clear a group of enemies. Even I did like Nightmare Dungeons, which were level 70. Even in the dungeon just now, for getting World Tier 4, all of the black packs or elites, they were cleared with no troubles at all. And you can just off-screen this. I can hit people in the corner with this without any trouble. So this is a very important combo. If you don't have the ring, I would still advise you to take Dancing Bolts, because you can get some pretty decent crit chance in World Tier 3. I think I have 22%. That's still 1 out of 4 will just spawn all those Dancing Bolts. And it won't be the same as, of course, the 100% crit. But I'm not always in the 100% crit state. And I'm still dealing with mobs without any problems. So these are not musts, but they are the best in slot. And I would definitely advise you to put this on your ring. And if you have a staff that is I would say around power 720, roughly that stage, get it on your staff. You won't be upgrading your staff with much damage anyway. I think I upgraded my staff once. And of course, luckily I did have the aspect on this. But get it on your staff. If not, put it on your gloves or your amulet, because those are very important too. As for the other aspects, the other aspects are just like kind of bonuses to it that will just help you. For this one, I did that Unstoppable for 4 seconds will give you 25% movement speed. Druid is a very slow cast, so getting extra movement speed is very good. Duration of your Bulwark is going to be increased by 6 seconds, which means your Unstoppable will be increased, because Bulwark makes you unstoppable while it's active. So you can get I think 9 seconds of Unstoppable, and then 4 seconds after, so 13 seconds of 25% movement speed. So you can cast this, if you always cast this when it's up, you can constantly have 25% increased movement speed. The stats on this are shit. Don't look at the stats, but it's just the aspect that's really good, and it has some nice synergy. That's where same as with my pants. The stats aren't that good. Not at all the stats you want. You would want total armor, damage reduction against poisoned enemies, health. Max health is also really good, and all those kind of stuff. I will put a build guide in the description, a build guide in the description so you can help level as well. Then for the gloves, of course, the best in slot is the unique, but you're probably not going to drop this. I was very lucky to drop this with a decent roll as well. I would say for your other gloves, what you would want to have is something that increases your damage or attack speed of your core skill. So the gloves that I had equipped previously were, let's say, I think they were, yeah, I had the accelerating Archon on my gloves, which meant 25% attack speed for my lightning storm, and also when I'm generating my spirit, then I will get some spirit back quicker because I have 25% increased attack speed. So that's a great thing for your gloves to put in there. Other things I would say, for the gloves, I would say, that's definitely something you want. Lucky hit chance, that's definitely a stat you want, and I would say that you definitely want crit chance as well on there if you don't have the ring. If not, it's less important that you have crit chance on there. Of course, it's still important because with more crits, you will get the Earth and Might passive achieved faster because you'll get 10% increase, but it's less and less important once you can actually get this. It's still an important stat, but if you get 100% crit chance, you don't really care about the extra 5%. So then you actually want crit damage, and more importantly than the crit chance. For your chest, Disobedience is something I've put on. It's just very good to have Disobedience, at least one piece of armor that you have. So, and for the stats on there, maximum life is great, total armor is great. Other than that, I'll put some actual specifics in the guide down below. For your helm, I do think Exploiter is great because you'll be immobilizing a lot of enemies. If the elites do survive, then they'll probably get unstoppable because they're mobilized, they want to get out, they do unstoppable, and with this you just deal extra damage to them. And it's great that you can, on a defensive item, you can actually get more damage. So I would say Exploiter is very good at that as well, for if you're looking for extra damage. I still do have Shepherds. The Poison Creeper and Ravens damage hasn't fallen off yet. Also, I do Ravens for the vulnerable and 8% crit chance. Once I don't have the Earth and Might passive proc, it's actually quite nice to have that. And it has quite a good lucky hit chance too, for some procs. I'm not sure how many things proc from that, but for now it's also just a 27% increased core skill damage. That's on top of that, so that's always good to have. Ring of Retaliation, you can switch this out if you're still struggling with Spirit Generation. You can switch this out for Umbral. Umbral will actually give you a lot more of your spirit back. Especially if you don't have your Paragon all the way leveled up to these yet, which will get you a lot of spirit on kill. I would say that Umbral, rocking with Umbral is better. But up until then, you don't really need to. If you already have those like I have, I think Umbral's a bit overkill. Sometimes I still need to do like Earth Spike, but most of the time I would want my core damage to be a little bit more increased, and I'm most of the time like at least 50% fortified or higher. And which means that I'll get some nice damage on my core skill. Still playing around a little bit with the aspects. I can definitely min-max that a little bit more. So these are not musts. These are just good ideas to have on your aspect. For your aspects. I think you can definitely switch around it a little more. And I think the Ravens damage does fall off later stages. But you just keep it because you get core skill damage on it. So it's a little bit of... It's just all helping your Lightning Storm, and there are not really that many other abilities which I like in my playstyle which help. Thing is about Lightning Storm that it can hit from a very far range. You could say Rabies with the poison build is quite good, but I don't like Rabies because I actually need to stand on top of my enemy to hit them with Rabies. I don't like that kind of playstyle. I like that I can take my range, and Ravens also has the same range as Lightning Storm, which is basically non-existent. Boons. Gift of the Stag isn't as much necessary. I would actually say Wariness is more important now, so you don't get one shot by elites. Gift of the Stag is only if you still struggle with your spirit consumption, but I think I have 116 spirit. That's more than enough So you can play around a little bit, but I still had it on gift on the stack, but I think wariness is also pretty good. If you struggle with survivability, you can play around with these just to see, especially later on. I think wariness is much better, but gifted stack can help you at the beginnings to actually get you up online and up to speed. Right now I have side talents, but I'm strongly considering doing Avian Wrath, which has 30% multiplier on your critical strike damage, but I don't have much critical strike damage yet. But slowly I'll surely switch those over once I also get some better stats on my gear. So that's one you could pick. I would say in the beginning get Scythe Talons. If you already have the Earth Myth aspect, try to get the Avian Wrath. Then Pack Leader resets both these skills. That's great. It's always something you can get. Or if you don't book the pack animals anymore, your companions anymore, I would take this one out and then go for Avian Wrath in there. But for now, I still have this one. Energize, just extra spirit is great. And this Overload does a lot more extra lightning damage, which is just extra lightning damage to get in there. I don't think these other things are very good for now, because we don't use ultimate skills and we don't use shapeshifting. So that's cool. Okay. Then as for abilities, it's exactly the same as what I did in my previous builds. I don't know where the keyword thing is up online. So we take 2 in here, max out Lightning Storm, Earthen Bulwark, get the Blood Howl for resets and for health. This is just constantly spam Blood Howl while you're channeling your Lightning Storm. Maxed out defense out here. Nature's Reach, very important to get that maxed out. Put some points with Poison Creeper, which you could switch around for some other points if you see something that's more valuable. But right now, Poison Creeper still has relevant damage, so I'm putting them in there. But you could take these 3 out, or say increase your maximum spirit and then get these leveled up. I don't know if I have any. No, I don't have any other freeze points to spend. We do have a lot of vulnerable application already, so you could maybe take this point out and then put them in here for some extra damage with your core skills, which means that your Lightning Storm will now cost 16 per strike, which is not that much increase. For the 15% damage buff, it can be quite nice. So you can try that out for later Nightmare stages as well. Of course, we put our points into the extra lightning bolts and also vulnerable application, which is just a ton of extra damage on your lightning strike. Dealing extra damage against poisoned enemies, because when your poison creeper hits them, you want to do that extra damage to them. And that is also poison for 6 seconds. So for 6 seconds, your crits deal even more damage to them, which is very good. Defiance, I have 3 from an item as well. I think that's from the unique, but it is not. The unique is not necessary for the build. And that's just extra damage to elite. And these 2, you also want to get the points. This one really helps you out, just healing you just a bit by bit throughout the fight. Then Earth to Might is just only if you have the aspect. If not, take Perfect Storm, and that's it for the abilities. And then for your Paragon Board, my Paragon Board isn't that high yet because I'm level 62, but I will post a more advanced build in my build guide of like what Paragon boards I'll take to like level 70 or something. So I'll probably post the next board as well. But for now, the first thing I put in was Exploit. And the next I put in was Electrocution, which I haven't maxed out yet. But once I will get this will really synergize well with all the dancing bolts that you will get for each time you crit. So each time you crit, you basically get all these monsters plus 20% damage, which is insane for a glyph to give you. And you just need to get all of the willpowers in there. Sadly, if you have the glyph like I have, like level 1, that means the harmony and the resolve won't be in there, so you're missing the 10 plus willpower from that. But you can get those later as well. When your glyph actually levels up, then you can take some points out of there and put them in somewhere else. So I would say probably for the next board, I'm either going to the right or going to the top, just to get some extra stuff. I'm not sure which board I'm going to do yet, but I'll put that in the build in the description. So that was it. That was my build, and that's how I got to World Tier 4 at level 62. And I will show some clips at the end of this video for you to watch. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Damage-wise, we're not lacking. Well, not really. But what I can do is, instead of time click. Nice. Nice. That's how we do it. Okay, so that was a cheese tactic I kind of used. The second channel of the lightning storm actually gives you, let's say, I'll put all of the bolts into one place. So the first one is just going to be 1 bolt or 2. And then the second one is going to be 3 or 4 bolts, but they all go into roughly the same space. So against bosses, that is one of the best things you want to do. So you want to hold your lightning storm for 1 second, so it comes to the next hop, and then you have so many of the lightning strikes all gathered in one place. They will actually hit them multiple times. So that's why I tapped instead of keeping it hold, which means my damage really ramped up.